New figures show Pendle, Blackburn and Darwen have some of the highest child poverty rates in the country. The report by the End Child Poverty Coalition also shows Hyndburn and Burnley rank highly. Now, Graham Whitham, CEO of Greater Manchester Poverty Action, joins me on the line. Hi, Graham. How concerning are these figures, would you say?
Yeah, really concerning. And you mentioned some of the areas there that have seen some of the biggest increases in child poverty over the last 7-8 years. They were areas where, child poverty rates were already high. And I think it's really, really concerning that poverty rates are increasing in those areas that were already struggling.
Why has this happened? Why have more children been allowed to fall into poverty?
Well, we've got a few issues going on here. I mean, we've got this real issue of sort of in-work poverty. So well over 2/3 of children who are living in poverty are actually in households where at least one adult is going out to work. So people might think, there's an issue of sort of unemployment, people not being able to find work, but far too many people are going out to work, they're bringing in a wage, but they're not able to make ends meet, and the money they do have coming into the household doesn't lift them above the poverty line. So that's a real issue, that in-work poverty problem, that's caused by low pay and people not being able to get all the hours they need, working part-time jobs when really what they need is a full-time job. So major issues there, and that's about the way our economy functions. But also, ultimately, we just don't do enough in this country to support families, with things like childcare costs, topping up wages to universal credit. The support that people get just isn't sufficient.
What needs to happen then, would you say?
I mean, we know there's lots of really good stuff going on locally to support people who are struggling, but ultimately, this comes down to central government, people in Westminster, the powers that be, taking action. We haven't got a national plan for tackling child poverty anymore in this country, and we really need to see some of the things that have been done to the benefit system, like the limit on benefits just for the first two children in families. That needs to be scrapped. That if we scrap the two-child limit on benefits, we'd lift 250,000 children out of poverty straight away. We can have a massive impact tomorrow if we reverse some of the really damaging decisions that have been taken to our social security system over recent years.
Does the cost of living crisis add to this as well, would you say?
Well, I think the issue we've got, we used to talk a lot about sort of people making choices between heating or eating, and I think really what we're finding now is that people haven't even got that choice. And when you talk to families, and some of the families that we work with, but other organisations in the End Child Poverty Coalition are working with across Lancashire and across the whole country, people's income just falls short of what their monthly outgoings are. People's energy bills, food bills, because they've shot up over the last year or so, really do exceed what people have got coming into the household. And it's not sustainable, is it? People might have different reasons, to go into debt or to take out a loan now and again. But if you're £200 short every month because, of meeting the basics, then that's a real issue, isn't it? And it's really damaging for those families and those households. What
kind of help and support is out there?
I think a few things. I always stress, although we know the benefit system isn't generous enough, there are lots of benefits and support that people can claim that goes unclaimed, hundreds of millions of pounds across the Northwest. So really encourage people to speak to their local citizens' advice. Go online if you've got access to the internet. Go on things like the Turn to Us benefits calculator. Just make sure you're claiming all the benefits you're entitled to. And so often we find through the work that we do, people think they're claiming everything they're entitled to, but often they're not. There's so many different benefits, things like council tax support, Healthy Start vouchers, support with childcare, that people understandably just don't know about. There isn't enough awareness of those types of support out there. So the first thing I think is to really encourage people just to make sure, you do maximise your household income, make sure you get all the benefits you're entitled to. And on the flip side, we know debt is a really difficult thing often for people to talk about. But if you are in debt, you can get help. You can get debt advice and support to manage those debts more effectively. And again, please don't hesitate to reach out to advice agencies in your community and get support.
OK, Graham, great talking to you. Thank you so much. That's Graham Whitham there, CEO of Greater Manchester Poverty Action. And in a state